On this episode, I'm going to pretend I'm not in space.
Oh, breaking the fourth wall here?
I'm still home in Texas. And let me tell you.
Okay, all you freshmen, listen up.
People like trucks in Texas.
Lost in space, but that's okay. Climb aboard the brand spaceship today.
All right, welcome to the Brand Spaceship, where we help you make better videos more often. And today we're talking about the difference between brand marketing and product marketing. And frankly, the lines are fuzzy. The difference between brand marketing and product marketing. And frankly, the lines are fuzzy.
The lines are fuzzy, and this is something that is near and dear to my heart because, as you know, in my previous job, I worked in creative marketing space, and there was often a push and pull between wanting to create an idea of what our product was and wanting to give this is how a product works, this is what we do, that kind of thing. So
here's the question.
Hit me.
Do people know how your product works?
Did they? No.
Then you have to tell them.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's ultimately what it came down to.
And this is really the fundamental part of when to do product marketing versus brand marketing. We should define them afterwards. But the fundamental thing is do people know how your product works? Is it already a line item in their budget? Is it already something they do, right? So it's I always buy paper towels. I have them in my house. Right.
Cool.
So if you're selling, I'm not at my house now. No, if you are selling paper towels, that's already a line item in a budget at the grocery store. Okay. So how do you sell paper towels? You are either going to sell paper towels as we're the least expensive paper towels or we're the best paper towels. The best paper towels is a branding play. Why are you the best? You might pitch that you plant a tree every time you cut one down. Right? That makes you the best. Now, all of a sudden, we're not talking budget because you're approaching customers that are interested in helping the environment and customers where they feel bad about all the paper they waste. So back to product versus brand marketing. It's look, once there's already a budget there or a dedication of time, you're now all of a sudden able to sell the brand, the reason you're the best, right? So it's we all use social media. So at this point, there doesn't need to be a description of on this social media app, you upload photos. It's no shit. We know that you upload photos. So why does this one matter? Why is this brand the one I should give my attention to? Because this is something I already give my attention to, my energy to, whether it's money or it's time. In the case of Scener, I didn't know that on the internet I should watch things with people. So you have to tell me how.
Right. It's creating a new habit, that new line item. That's a tricky space to be in. And maybe we can talk about that a little bit. But before we do, let's go through a couple of spots and talk through is this a product ad? Is this a branding ad? And then from there, figure out, why that is.
Just so everyone knows, I already know what he's going to show me. So that was all a lie. That was performative. That was acting by producer Jared. And it was really good. So the reason I'm sharing this is because producer Jared's acting was excellent there.
Thank you. All right, let me share with you this commercial here, which I do hope to be loading. Yep. All right, here we go.
Here in the Lone Star State.
In Texas, the Star holds a place of honor right beside the name Ford F-150 because F-150 Super Crew earned double 5 stars, the highest government safety rating. Now get 0% financing or choose up to $2,500 cash back on F-150, the best-selling truck in America for 25 straight years. Test drive F-150 today and you'll see why the best-selling truck is
the best in Texas.
Great.
So first of all, I don't know what year that was. I saw that the video was from 9 years ago, I think, or something like that.
January 2002.
Great. So that's pretty old. I love old stuff. I think everything in on television is worse now besides the stuff that's just movies, but on TV.
It's not unusual to be
But commercials, etc., everything's less interesting. I love them selling against the Star of Texas. and now it's 5 stars, right? As someone who now I live in Texas on this episode, so this is going to show if people watch, I'm going to pretend I'm not in space.
Oh, breaking the fourth wall here?
I'm still home in Texas. And let me tell you,
Okay, all you freshmen, listen up.
people like trucks in Texas. But that is explicitly product marketing for a locality. I think besides medicine, which is its own story, the biggest marketing spend comes from cars, I believe. Ford obviously being a big one, and trucks being a huge percentage of what Ford sells, specifically the F-150. There are commercials that are made at the brand level to sell trucks, to sell the F-150. And then what they do is they actually distribute those to different localities, and they'll be customized to those localities. There's usually separate agencies and production companies. They'll receive assets and they'll tweak them for the local distribution, because truck buying or car buying is something you do even now, not really on the internet. You go into a place, it's down the street from you, and there's a potential to customize it to that specific buyer. A global, here's why you should buy a truck, is going to be less attractive to a Texan than we're selling against Texas. In Texas, this is particular to the point where there's actually a Texas version. Are you aware of this? Of every truck?
No.
There's literally there's one called the Texas Frontier. There's the truck.
Are they just bigger?
What's that?
Are they just big? They're just bigger?
No, they're the same truck. It just says Texas on it. Let's see. I have a Jeep Gladiator. So let's see. Jeep Gladiator Texas Trail. That's what that one's called.
Cool.
Let's see. Ford F-150 Texas Edition is what it's called.
But so there's something though that you're talking about with the localities and the different advertisements catered to the individual who lives in a certain spot. That is kind of interesting, because it sounds to me kind of like outsourcing content upcycling in a way. You have these products, you have this brand, and it is on a third party to sell your product. So you're giving them the asset library and saying now you go and you sell this, right?
Oh, this is how versioning began, right? So my first engagement with versioning, which led to the idea of asset libraries, which led to content upcycling, started with working on various projects early on as an editor, and many of them related to the car industry. These products are sold around the world. There are different dollar signs. The pound looks different than the dollar. The cost is different in different places. And those types of things within a product ad are important, and they require content upcycling, right? It would be much more expensive to shoot an ad for every single one of these. When we talk about brand versus product marketing, a lot of it is the brand is what you feel when you hear the thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm the type of person that does this, right? In the case of trucks, right? It's I'm a hardworking dude who maybe is masculine and
It's one thing to know it all.
and has certain traits.
It's another to do it all.
I therefore buy a truck. So on the brand level, you're going to sell trucks in that way. So all of your ads about trucks will have these certain things if you're Ford. When it then comes to the product, the Ranger is their smaller truck. That's going to be sold a little different than the F-150.
What unites the kayaker, the surfer, the adventurer?
The electric, the F-150 Lightning, that's going to be sold a little different.
You don't see that every day.
But they'll all be within this overall brand ethos that sells a feeling.
Yeah, it's
right? Why are we
It's
the
not
choice?
the brand is not America. The brand is not red, white, and blue. The brand is not tough. The brand is the feeling of America, the feeling of tough, the feeling of the strong.
Well,
color
I would
blue.
even say you can define it as the brand is America, but when it comes to selling the product you're selling is an APR. You know what I mean? It's a Texas edition. It's more specific. One simple way that I think about this, which pertains to Ford, and I think we'll watch a Ford brand spot after this that's overall about trucks, is almost like product marketing is for a store. Brand marketing is for a company or an ethos, right? Like what you represent, the feeling people should have when they think of your name, right? I should feel this way. I should think these things. Whereas at the end of the day, going back to Scener, it's like, listen, we don't have space for how Scener makes you feel. I need to know how the heck to use that product. If people don't already know they're going to buy a truck, you kind of just have to describe why someone would buy a truck.
Yeah.
Right? And only once they know, then it can be about a feeling.
And once I finished my Bronco, I had to get a Mustang, of course.
It can be much broader and more oriented towards the brand.
Yeah.
Okay, let's watch a brand spot.
All right. This one is... I'm watching an ad before the ad. Hold on. All right. This one is, I believe, a pretty well-known spot. All right. Here we go.
68 degrees. It's 1 minute before 6 o'clock in the morning.
Here's what happened. Americans wanted a faster horse. So we built them a car.
Cars began coming off the assembly line at the rate of 1 every 40 seconds.
Then they needed a car that worked harder than a car. So
Like
we
Mad
built
Max.
something else. The truck. Americans said, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And they used our trucks to build interstates
Nation has become swift and mobile.
and families and communities and industries. Americans use these trucks to build livelihoods and neighborhoods. And in their spare time, tow really heavy things. Americans needed vehicles worthy of who they are and what they can do. So, we built them a truck.
So this makes me think immediately.
That last tag was disgusting.
Is it again?
Amazing. Hold on. This is amazing. I didn't even know this. So that's a tag for a local distributor trying to get the brand attention when people were maybe searching for that.
They did.
And they're like, yeah, we got to get that tag
Let's watch
to our
that again.
local Nevada dealership. Oh, Jesus, that's disgusting. Henderson, Nevada.
So inadvertently, just made your previous point.
Here's another thing. It almost doesn't matter when you make this stuff if you believe it or you like it. It's helpful, but the point is you're trying to get a message across to people who do care. So that becomes kind of our job, is to be like, oh, that's who you want to talk to. People who care about that. Let's execute that. First of all, that's an incredible spot when it comes to brand. Connecting, it's like Ford is America. Ford is the creation of the car, right? At least the mass-produced car. Ford is the definition of America as like the car country for years and years and years and years. And reminding people of that will make them go, should I buy a GMC? I don't know. Ford has this history. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll go there. This is almost like a sexy Christopher Nolan movie when he went into that. I thought that was that scene in Interstellar where they're driving through the cornfield.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're very, very different spots. One is trying to get you to walk into a shop and buy something. And one is reminding you that the next time you do need to walk into a shop and buy this thing, which we know you're going to buy, like, here's what makes us special. And if you want to be special like us, you would engage with us. And that is the fundamental difference. The caveat is, again, to go back to the scenery example, if people don't know who you are, if people don't know what you provide or have it in a line item, truck people are going to go buy a truck. You don't necessarily have to tell them to buy a truck.
Just make sure you get a V8 engine.
You just have to be like, this is why this is the company's truck you should buy. So the idea that you're selling anything but brand once we get to the point of like, I'm buying a truck is its own thing. So once people know they're going to buy you or your type of product, that's when I think branding comes in. If you're something new, you have to sell the product. So the big difference between when you should brand market versus product market is like, are people already buying your stuff? And that means two things. One is, do they know what you sell? Because if you're a young company, even if you're selling a commodity product, like you have to show them you sell that product, right? We are the new company that does this. We are the best at this, right? Once they know what you do and they want to engage with you, you start to be able to sell what you should feel from working with them. Our manifesto that we made, that video that's like Meet My Lady, that's branding. That's branding, right? That's how you should feel when you work with us. To a degree, the product is the real. The product marketing is, this is what we do. Look, we made this stuff. Once you've decided like, oh, they're a person that makes this stuff, right? We should consider them amongst other people that make this stuff. It then becomes, why these people? What's the brand of these people? What do they do differently, right? And there is a fine line because, we'll talk about 24-hour work. Well, that's like a product feature.
We don't make excuses and we never...
But at the same time, there's a way to present that that's more like the ethos, which is, we're the always available partner. That's more of a brand pitch versus we have 12 people in this location and 4 in this location. That's like the product pitch.
Totally. And it sounds to me like branding is in large part identifying the person or the demographic of people that you think are best suited for purchasing your product and creating a common thread of identity. So like you identify as a strong, tough, hardworking, blue collar person, right? We, Ford, with our blue logo and our tough visuals and our Made in America messaging, identify as that as well. And for us, and I think that's a great example, using our reel as an example of product marketing and our manifesto as an example of branding. For us, we show you, we make great videos. We make them for a lot of large companies and we are the best at it. And the manifesto says, this is the type of company we are. And we are aligning with the types of companies who have the same type of work ethic, who have the same type of energy, and the same type of priorities. We are very hardworking, and we will work hard for you to make you not have to work as hard.
So this is a book by Seth Godin. This is Marketing.
Yeah.
Really good book. I'm going to this quote up because I couldn't find it. But it's something like marketing is reminding people that they're a person that does this thing. He has a lot of quotes, man. Wait, it might not be this book. That would be bad. Let me try and look this up. I think I'm failing today. If I fail at figuring out what book this is, the quote is basically reminding people they're the type of person that does this thing, right? So it's like, I'm the type of person who tracks my heart rate. Therefore, I have an Apple Watch. I'm the type of person that doesn't give up. Therefore, Nike's a good brand for me. I'm the type of person who thinks differently. Therefore, Apple's a good brand for me. I'm the type of person that is branding.
Yeah.
Right? It's putting yourself at the end of that sentence that you think you belong at.
Yeah, totally.
And when it comes to Mile 80, it's like, we're the type of people who get things done no matter what. We're the type of people who will never stop until it's completed.
We stick to budgets, deadlines, and promises.
That type of sentence is how you define a brand. We're the type of people who love America, have been here since the beginning, and we're tough and get things done. That's Ford. Whereas like the product that's sold against that is very different. There's this push and this pull. It's like you must product market in order for people to understand what it is that you sell. Once they buy what you buy and you're like in the ethos, you have to say, this is why we're better than the other ones.
And they used our trucks to build interstates.
Are you the type of person that does this? Are you the type of person that cares about this? If you are, here are some things you can buy from us.
A best-selling truck in America for 25 straight years.
It almost is like this loop where you start out with product marketing, then you go into branding. Once your brand's really defined, you have to point them to what they should buy to be a part of it.
Yeah, totally.
A great example of this for Apple's, it's like they had to start out, if you look at really early Apple advertising, even from Steve Jobs, who's the king of branding, or was, now that he's passed, he still is. It was like, we have this much RAM. We have this much CPU, all this stuff. And then all of a sudden they go, by the way, IBM is Big Brother in the 1984 ads. If you want to fight against Big Brother, how about you buy something new?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden people are like, oh, Big Brother, yeah. I'm with this group, right? But they already knew what Apple did, that Apple sold computers. They already knew that IBM sold computers. So it only works once it's there. If you just go ahead and say, IBM's Big Brother, them, somebody might be like, F IBM, and then they wouldn't have any idea what action to take.
Right.
Then all of a sudden that's brand marketing that didn't work. Whereas now they've gone so far ahead, everyone knows like, oh, if I want to think different, if I'm creative, like, so Think Different was a campaign. Then they associated themselves with creativity with the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC ads. It was always like the cool dude that was making art versus like the nerd doing Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, well, I'm the type of person that does art, not the type of person that does Excel spreadsheets. I better, when I go buy a computer, look at a Mac. And now we're so full circle on this that there aren't a lot of Apple ads. This is the reality. a lot of it is like Apple exists in the ethos. They do these big presentations and then other people talk about them. Most of the ads that you see on TV, or at least that I see from Apple, are actually like AT&T ads, T-Mobile ads. They're the actual store that's pointing you to how to buy it. Like, oh, we better show them we sell that, right? Because I'm going to get my percentage if I sell it.
Yeah. Totally.
So we may never find the book. Shout out to This Is Marketing, but I don't think it's from this book.
Here's another
It might be
book
from
that
The
we like.
Brand Gap by Marty Neumeyer. Both of those are really good. It also might be something I randomly read. Woo! Do you want to say anything final?
Well,
thing?
I was just going to say one of the things you made me realize is a lot of that full circle branding is identifying your brand as something that a demographic identifies themselves as. And then once you've established that your brand is these characteristics, you're saying, oh, you are too? Prove it. This is your product, right? So closing that loop with, I'm this, you're this, now prove it by purchasing our products. Because we are Justin Long, and if you're Justin Long in the Apple ads, or you're not the nerdy guy, then you're going to buy a Mac.
And I will say what I would love to do next time we meet, as I think we can talk about Edward Bernays. This is going to get really deep. It's going to get really deep about manipulation. What you're talking about is how branding and marketing is just trying to manipulate people into buying something, which I'm fully comfortable talking about because it is true. It doesn't mean your product is not valuable, but it does mean that what you're trying to do is convince people to pay attention to you instead of something else. And that really was formulated in a book called Propaganda by Edward Bernays. I've read a lot of books on marketing, a lot of books on PR, and that is a book from, I think, 1929 or something like that. Maybe it's the 30s. It feels like it was written last week. Yeah. And it lays out for you how to convince people to pay attention to you. And a lot of it has to do with what you're talking about. Positioning yourself as the answer to how someone wants to feel. Because the product, it almost doesn't matter. Once you're big enough, you start selling, this is the type of person you become when you engage with our brand. Slippery slope of morality.
Yeah.
But it's the industry we're in, so let's talk about it next time. It's going to be the best episode you ever saw.
It's going to be the best piece of content you ever saw. It's going to, if you want to be the person who knows good content, then you need to watch this next episode because that's what we are. We're good content.
And that is Propaganda. Peace.